Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So, taking out a fun and exciting video for you guys today because the news is here. Duke Nukem 0 Hour has been 100% decompiled for the N64. And if you know me and you know the channel, you know I love talking about these decomp projects and who has big decomp energy more than Duke Nukem himself. And honestly, of a lot of the games that could be decompiled and ported over to PC, this is definitely one that I think could use it the most. But I want to be very clear up front, decompiled just means that it has been decomped. There is no PC port to play today, there is no static recomp. This is one side of the coin, and basically getting the decomp leads into those PC ports if people want to take on the project, but we still need to wait for that. So if you're wondering where the link to a playable version of this on PC is, it doesn't exist yet, and we'll have to wait for that to actually happen. But honestly, I really do love Duke Nukem 0 Hour for its presentation, its ideas, weapons, and storyline. But I will say, and again, I am a fan of the game, this has some of the worst controls on N64 in my opinion. The way Duke Nukem moves, the way he jumps, this game can just fight you control-wise, and it is one of those candidates. If the controls were fixed up and modernized, I think this game would be a lot more people's favorite N64 title. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. Now I will get into the decomp news in just a moment, but right off the top, this game definitely had a lot of originality, and when people were craving more Duke Nukem back in the day, and obviously 3D Realms had delayed Duke Nukem Forever into basically a forever status until we got it on the Xbox 360 and found out that that version wasn't good. Stuff like 0 Hour kept that Duke Nukem dream alive, and on N64 it had a lot of fun visuals and a lot of fun gameplay design elements. And the best thing is there is a secret code, so you can play this game in first person mode as well. So it's one of those things, imagine a PC port running at like 1920 by 1080 widescreen in first person mode with mouse and keyboard support. That would make this game infinitely more fun, because the thing about 0 Hour is there is a very fun game here, but you're always going to be frustrated, at least in my opinion, by the controls. You move around left and right with the actual analog stick, and the C buttons are how you move forward, backwards, left, and right in the game world, and that definitely takes a lot of practice to get used to. And honestly, even capturing this footage definitely led to a lot of deaths where I was just basically trying to pivot my brain up into understanding how the game wanted me to move. And that is why decomps and PC ports and static recomps can be so important. People might want to play this game to experience a Duke Nukem game they never played before, but if they didn't play it back in the day or aren't familiar with N64 controls, they might just basically nope out of this thing in like 3 or 4 minutes and say, the game's absolutely garbage, I'm not going to play it, I'm not interested whatsoever. And that is why these decomp projects really are huge. And again, I can't stress enough, it might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be 2 years until we actually see this ported to PC. But there are a ton of fun deathmatch maps here as well. So imagine a scenario in which you had first person mode for Duke Nukem 0 Hour, 60 frames a second, mouse and keyboard support with some sort of online networking, so you can actually play this game with all your friends. And do definitely be careful of that cop car there, it will kill you with its bumper. But as we go over to the GitHub here, you're going to see the last commit, the cleanup was about 3 days ago, and at that point in time, this thing hit 100% decompiled status. And that means that this can be decompiled to the original code, and that code can then be used to basically port to any platform, generally PC, Linux, and Macintosh. But that in and of itself is its own task. You need to take this code and port it over. These things aren't quote-unquote free, and some people in the comments seem to think that once a decomp is done, that means we're only a week away from actually playing it on PCs. And sometimes that is in fact the case, because somebody might be working on a static recomp or a PC port in the background as it's being decompiled with the unfinished code, but I don't think that's what's going to be the situation here for Duke Nukem 0 Hour. But seeing here with that sniper rifle in first person mode, that's what I would love to see in some sort of PC port. Just the ability to play this thing from start to finish like a first person shooter without the N64 controls. Even if it was just a dual analog controller like an Xbox Series X, definitely would be so much better than actually using the N64 controller, because in this instance I really do think the way they designed this game to be controlled was just a mistake. And again, it didn't get great review scores, and I think a lot of that was just down to the controls. But at soundtrack sample time, imagine this music coming out of your PC as a native port. I'll be right back to talk a lot more about the decompilation process itself.
Kids, remember I'm a professional. Don't try this at home. Who wants some? Won't budge. See you in hell.
I mean, definitely has a fun soundtrack, and again, I love the storyline and conceit of this game, having to travel through time to basically stop the alien invasion, because the entire storyline involves time travel and going to different environments at different times. And just think of this getting improved graphics, internal rendering resolution bumps, things like that. You could probably even dial it up to 4K and just have a great time of it. But games like this and other games like Mario Kart 64, I really hope in the future we start seeing stuff like online support for those, because there are a ton of multiplayer maps in here, some of them that have a really fun design, like this ice level where Duke is just going to slide around, that were a ton of fun to play back in the day. I had this on my N64, my friends would come over, I had 4 controllers, and you would absolutely have a blast playing this. So even if it was a local only, being able to do this on like a 65-inch OLED like I have in my living room with a 4-up screen, all of them running at 60 frames per second, would just absolutely be awesome. And if you can't tell already, this is using the actual expansion pack, and it is running in interlace mode, so it's something could be definitely pivoted over to progressive as well, and I would love to see that happen. And that again is why these Decomp projects can be so huge. This is the type of game, absolutely, if they were going to remake it, I would play it again with all of the quality of life improvements and modern trappings that we have in 2025. But I don't expect any company to decide to go in and think remaking 0 Hour is a good idea and a financially viable one. That is why it comes down to fans to keep these things alive, because they're not worried about the revenue. They don't have an accounting department to tell them whether or not a project could turn a profit or not. They just decide to do whatever it is they want and run with it. And in some of these open areas, the frame rate, even with the expansion pack, can definitely chug, and in some instances using the expansion pack will make it run slower. And that again is why decompiled code, if ported, would just fix basically all of those issues right off the top. There is no PC in the world that is modern that couldn't run this thing at a really nice stable frame rate. You will see here there is some auto lock on the controls, and that's because the developers knew that you really couldn't have precise aiming with the N64 controller and with the game engine, but that again would be something on PC that would absolutely just be taken care of off the top. I want full mouse aim on this thing so badly, it would just be a great time. Now, as far as the decompiled code is concerned, you can build that today if you want and start playing around with it, but again, there is no executable. I know that kind of trips some people up. So think about it this way, a decompiled project is nothing more than a Lego set you built and then decided to take all the Legos back apart and put them in their bags to be rebuilt again. That doesn't mean just because you decompiled it, suddenly you have a new version of it. It just means you have the parts that could be used to make a port. But it's soundtrack sample 2 times 35 seconds, and I'll come back and talk about what I expect to see out of Duke Nukem 0 Hour in the future and the N64 decomp process in general.
My place at 8?
Stuck.
Oh, how can I ever repay you?
Won't budge.
I mean, honestly, I'm just kind of surprised Nintendo let them get away with that back in the N64 days. But there's definitely a lot of N64 decomps, recomps, and PC ports on the horizon that all do things slightly differently, but it really is going to be, I think, the next 12 to 24 months, a huge thing, not just for N64, but for other platforms as well. Because we've seen decomps, recomps, and PC ports on the Xbox 360 side of things. We've seen them on PlayStation 2, both active and release, and obviously, for the most part, N64 seems to be leading the charge. But don't think that these things are easy, nor are they free. This is definitely a lot of manual work, having to go in and decompile these things. It requires a lot of educated guesses, a lot of research, and just a little bit of luck as well. So as far as people thinking in the next 24 months we'll have the entirety of the N64 retail library playable on PC as ports, that definitely won't happen. These are individual projects, and even though what you learn on one might actually benefit you in the future for another one, it doesn't mean that they are instantaneously available, so do temper your expectations. That way you can't be disappointed. But hopefully sometime in the future we have a full PC port of Duke Nukem 0 Hour with mouse and keyboard controls, first-person views, widescreen, 60 frames per second if not faster, and network online multiplayer for all of the deathmatch maps. And honestly, this game could definitely have a couple bugs fixed as well, because that medkit right there for some reason or another just does not get picked up when Duke Nukem runs over it, even though I do need some health. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me, did you play 0 Hour back in the day and what did you think? I own the game, I had a lot of fun with it, but now in the modern era, honestly controlling it absolutely drives me nuts, and I would love to see all that fixed up. And that medkit right there, again, don't know what's going on with it. Every other medkit in the game seems to work totally fine for me, but this one, no matter what I do, has never been able to be picked up. But we are done. Definitely check the link down in the description below to see the decomp status, and I'll see you guys for the next decomp video. Bye bye.